Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real.
What's up, Jeremy Macbeth? How you doing? Tim McSee, what's up, man? Roger Kingery, Bob Donahue. Chris Spenier, what's up, man? Oh, what do you say, buddy? Conway, how you doing, Conway? Mike Bradley's here. Yeah. TP, what's happening, buddy? LP Bass, Randall Miller, Jim Saban. What's happening, brother? And your beautiful smile. Your sense of humor makes it all worthwhile. Don't make me wait. It's not a funny game. Yeah, man. You know, Jay Sandberg, what's happening? Robert Murray. Randall Miller, how are you? Right on, buddy. Alvin Valentine, Joseph Castrita. What do you say, Joe? Good seeing you today, buddy. Mike Hayer, Alvin Valentine. Yeah, man, let's talk. Ronald Kennard, how are you, buddy? Nicholas Law, Ed Ranowski, always, Ed. Bob Irving, Greg Plank, what's up, buddy? Man, oh man, we got a great show for you guys tonight. George and I are going to be holding down the fort. Nick can't make it tonight. He has to work tonight, doing some other things. He's really busy, so he's not going to be able to make it. So you're stuck with George and I. So hopefully that'll work out all right for us. Yeah. All right. Yeah, man. Good to see everybody. Bobby Graham's here. Tammy, how you doing, Tammy? Good to see you. Ray Cruz. What we got here? Mark. Hey, Mark, you won the Rig of the Week contest last week. You got to contact me, buddy. We got another Rig of the Week this week we're going to get into here in a little bit. Kirk Blackador. Yeah. Renee, how are you? Crappy Kev. Man, we got everybody in the house. Good to see everybody here. And we appreciate everybody stopping by. Boy, oh boy, we have a great weekend. George and I fished a little derby on Sunday. And funny story with that. It's just a little derby, $100 in a hat kind of thing. Bubba scale thing. You know, 10 or 15 or so boats, maybe something like that, 10 boats. And so we get there in the morning and we're shooting the breeze at everybody and put the boat in the water. And George says, hey, man, I got to get my team in for FanDuel. So he starts, and I'm like, yeah, me too. So we put the boat in the water and we just kind of float out a little bit and we power pull down. And we're just got 15 minutes before we can put lines in the water. And so we're I'm just throwing a team in. I'm doing whatever, man. I'm just like quarterbacks and running backs and all this stuff. And I'm just clicking down through there, just kind of hurrying because I had to get some rods together. So I got mine in and I turned back behind my shoulder and George goes, what's going on back there? And I look back and here's these fish just toosh, just blowing up on these shad all over the place. And we're like, holy mackerel, man. And it's like 5 minutes of, and we can't do anything. And these fish are blowing up everywhere. So I'm looking around and George is finishing his team up and I'm looking around and there's a fluke laying there and there's a mag, not a mag draft, but a Giant Dog X topwater on a rod. So I pick up the topwater and I say, there's a fluke here for you, George. I'm going to spin the boat around and trolling motor us up there. Is about 20 yards away. So I trolling motored up there and And then they stopped. Of course, they stopped breaking and busting and everything. I said, well, we'll just throw around in here once we get 7 o'clock. So it's like 15 seconds before we're allowed to throw in, and the fish start breaking again, right in front of us. I mean, right in front of us. And I'm like, okay, hang on. And it turns to 7, and we fire in there, and bam, I catch one, and George catches one, and I lose one, and he catches another one. I throw out, catch one, and we're just mayhem for about 5 minutes. You know, we're just catching these fish that are busting all out in front of us. And it was just funny that we never even started the motor. We just kind of drifted off the bank and turned around and started fishing and catching fish. So it was pretty neat to do that. We fished up around and we look out into the middle. It was glass calm too. It was one of the only days we fished without wind. You know what I mean? And it was glass calm, and we looked out into the river, and we saw them busting about 200 yards away again in another spot. So I trolling motor, kick the trolling motor on high. I fly over there. We fish around, nothing, and we start working back in towards where we really wanted to start. And we get about halfway in there, and man, we hit this little pot of fish and caught some nice ones, a couple 3-pounders, but anyway, we had a great day. We caught a lot of fish, and had a good time. You know, finally just really got on them and caught, 35, 40 fish for the day. And just had a good fishing day, a fun fishing day. Everything you did, every decision we made was just paying off like it's supposed to. And we ended up moving across the river on, once we figured out a pattern, and we get over there and we just start crushing them over there, and ended up in second place. Had a little over 16 pounds, a couple of really nice ones, and it was a fun time. It was a good day on the water. So, yeah, that was our Sunday, and it was good to catch fish after fishing down at Conowingo for all these tournaments and struggling and working hard. It was just really great to get on a big pot of them. So I hope everybody else got out for Sunday and over the weekend and caught some fish. So it was a good, really beautiful weekend for fishing. So I hope everybody got a chance to get out and do that. But for all you guys that are new here, my name is Mike Acord. This is George Acord, and this is Tackle Shop Live, which we do every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. So that's the deal. What's going on, George? What do you have? What do you got going on?
I got a little bit of everything lined up for tonight. I got the globally favorite show, Tackle Talk.
Yeah.
10, 12 continents just love that. I've got a little breakdown on like some tournament talk about the Toyota Series Championship. Just a little touch, touch in there, touch in.
Yeah.
Got a little information about rig of the week. And then you know what else we got?
Yeah.
We got a November must-do list. As far as me and you are concerned.
Yeah.
A must-do list in November, of which you didn't really get into the other than that little bit of schooling activity, you really didn't get into the meat of our little derby on Sunday. And it's one of the things that's on our fall must-do list, particularly in November here in this part of the world.
Yeah.
When the water starts getting into that 50 range, mid 50 range down to like the mid 40s, we love to crank.
Oh yeah.
And the reason we love to crank is because we catch a pile of fish on a crankbait.
Yeah. Sunday was one of those days, man. They were just chewing that crankbait like crazy.
I mean, that's on the list, baby. That's on the November must-do list that we're gonna feature tonight.
Yep.
We're gonna chop that up a little bit. We're gonna talk about 5 things that if you pretty much limited yourself to these 5 things in November in a large port of the country, you will do well.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. We'll talk about cranking a little bit. We're gonna, of course, talk about a little bit about the jerkbait and why it's so important in November. And of course, the big craze in the country, which is throwing swim baits and glide baits. Yeah, November is arguably one of the best months to do that.
Absolutely.
And then, of
Absolutely.
course, you know, you got to slow down every once in a while. So we're going to talk about why you need to keep a jig in your hand in November, especially if you're a largemouth guy.
Yeah.
You know, and you're chasing after those big heads.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then, of course, the last thing on our November must-do list is also our rig of the week this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we should just go right into that.
Well, that's kind of what my segue was all about there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got our rig of the week. Every week it's brought to you by Nomad Designs, and every week we do a different rig, talk about the different rig, talk about some applications of it, and show you how we fish it and what we do with it. And we're just trying to go through all these rigs and keep ourselves familiarized with all this stuff that's out there and different ways of presenting different baits. So so we paired up with Nomad Designs, and what they're doing is they're giving away a $25 gift card for anybody to win. And all you have to do is, and I got a list because Nick takes care of all this stuff, and he told me, he said, what you have to do is you have to, and this is in the browser that you're in. You're going to like the post. You're going to comment by tagging the post in the comment section at Nomad Designs. So in the comment section, make sure you put at Nomad Designs. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to share the post. So if you do all three of those things, you get in for the drawing for a $25 gift card from and presented by Nomad Designs, the great makers of Live Ops plastics and the Greg DePalma jig and the swim jig, the all that stuff. So great opportunity for you guys to win. You just got to make sure you do that. And last week's winner for the rig of the week is Jimmy Arnold. Jim Arnold won a $25 gift card. Jim, congratulations to you, buddy. And we will reach out and make sure we hook you up with that. A $25 gift card, courtesy of Nomad Designs, and that's for sfttackle.com or in the shop here. So we will hook up with you guys or with you, Jimmy, and we will get that all set up. So the rules are: like the post, comment by tagging at Nomad Design, and share the post. And there you go. Okay. Rig of the week this week, George.
It's the fifth thing that I feel and you feel and we feel that you need to be doing heavily in November.
Yeah.
So we had flipping and casting a jig, which we're going to talk about. We had, if you want to swim bait, this is your month. Jerkbait, crank. Well, you know what the fifth one is? It's the rig of the week.
The rig of the week.
So without further ado.
Oh.
Hello. The rig of the week is the A-rig. The world famous A-rig. I'm pretty sure everybody watching this show is familiar with the A-rig.
Absolutely. It's been around a long time.
Well, it's for good reason. And there's probably as many people making A-rigs as there is more so than people making spinnerbaits. It's got a cult-like following. Each of the better brands of A-rigs have a cult-like following. It spawns tons of debate. And we're gonna break it down as the rig of the week, but we're gonna take it a little deeper into the weeds, and we're gonna talk about some of our experiences and how we've come to fish it the way we fish it.
Yeah.
So, first of all, let's talk about this thing. So the A-rig, obviously, is, not quite as controversial as forward-facing sonar, but it was at one time.
Yeah.
If this is going to be hard to do with all these mic phones. If it wasn't for forward-facing sonar, this would be the most controversial thing to hit bass fishing. And so obviously it's a beautiful concept. It came from the saltwater world, where spreader bars and umbrella rigs have been used for years to imitate schools of bait fish.
Mm-hmm.
So we have we're casting a whole school.
Yeah.
And the power of that design is the difference between you can't get bit on a swim bait on a jig head, and then you throw this in that same area where you're on a school of fish and they hammer it.
Yeah.
They absolutely hammer it. Not uncommon to catch 2 at a time.
Yeah.
Occasionally, you'll catch 3 at a time, although that's rare. Now, I must tell you, make sure that you check the state regulations where you're fishing.
Yeah.
Because some of them are 5, 3, 2. Also, if you're a tournament fisherman.
And you mean 5, 3, or 2 hooks?
Hooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have as many baits as you want. There's rigs with, there's umbrella rigs made by this company here, Picasso, where you can put a swim bait on each arm. You can have 9 swim baits with 5 hooks, or however many hooks you want to put on there, according to your regulations.
Mm-hmm.
And blades.
Yep.
So the whole concept is very simple. There's tweaks. There's proper tackle. We're going to break that down right now. But check your regulations. If you're a tournament angler, check the regulations of not only the state you're in, but whether or not your organization allows them. If you're a, like a BFL guy, they have the Major League Fishing for the tournaments they allow it in. They have their own regulations on how many you can have. And this is the BFL rig. So anyways, check that. That's not important on how we catch fish. So, the big deal is, and here's the questions most frequently asked that we get here at the shop. What size heads, what size baits do I throw? And if you're new to the A rig, those are great questions, because how obviously the weight of this thing is going to determine the level in the water where you can effectively fish it. Now, I like to fish them shallow. This A rig right here, I was fishing last Sunday in our tournament anywhere from 2 to 3 feet deep down to maybe 8 feet deep. And, I found for like my personal use 90+% of the time. And I feel that this is pretty common with the literally thousands of anglers that I talk with about this. 1/8 ounce heads. So you'll notice there's 5 1/8 ounce heads on here. They don't all match. That's okay. So let's talk about the head. So the first key element here is the jig head. Okay. And, you want to be you want to pay attention to the hook. Okay. So this is not a stout hook, but it's not a light wire. It's a mid wire hook,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a strong hook. It's a good quality. This is a dirty jig, guppy head, I believe is what it is. No, this particular one is a tactical bass, 1/8 ounce tactical bass. So that actually has a little bit heavier hook than their guppy head. So, you can do the moral of the story is you don't want like a really light wire hook. It can be a mid wire hook as long as it's a good hook, a good quality black nickel hook. Some of the hooks I have on this are lighter wires than other. Here's a guppy head, little lighter wire. You get the point. So we sell a jig head here at the shop, the SFT ball head, which uses a bronze eagle claw or mustad wire hook. It'll work on an A-rig, but it's not a good choice.
No,
because it has too much flex. And the reason I'm harping on that is, everything about this is rigid and heavy duty. We're fishing heavy powered rods. We're going to go over rod choice. We're fishing heavy line, 20-pound fluorocarbon. All this is wire. There's not a lot of give once you hook up. So you want to be a little careful, that you don't go just crazy with some of your lighter jig heads. These are stout enough hooks you can lean on the fish real well, which is why we choose them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Now, the next thing that we're asked all the time, Mike, is, swim bait color.
Yeah.
And I feel as though that's a pretty easy one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's
what's your take on that?
It's a shad imitator, so we try to go with your shad colors, of course. You can see the way we do ours. But the beauty of it is that there is 5 on there. So we usually run the 3 shad or 4 shad colors, and then in this particular case we have another shad color in the middle. But this could be your middle one, could be anything. We've done different things where we'll change this color out to maybe something with like a sungill kind of color, with a little bit more color to it. Some guys I know will put a chartreuse one on in the middle. Some guys like the blue chartreuse in the middle there. So sky's the limit on your mismatch, but it's a shad imitator. So just if you stay with this type of colors, the gray back with the pearl belly, or all white, or all kinds of pearl on there, you're going to do just fine, and because of the shad imitations.
So I think to get a little more specific on that, what Mike and I do most of the time is, like, for example, these are 3.8 Kitech Tennessee shad, and then we'll do a white in the middle most of the time. So a good way for you to start, if you're kind of new at this and you're not sure how to rig up, first of all, look at the bait fish where you're fishing. There's a great way to figure it out. Look at your bait fish and say, hey, these bait fish are pretty big, or these bait fish are pretty small. And, you don't have to match it exactly, but try to get like a little bit bigger than that bait. So, if you've got like gizzard shad that are like this big, just try to get in that range, maybe just a little bit bigger. Try to have your baits rigged up straight. This one got a little cockeyed on here. He must have been the one getting all the action.
Right.
Now, another thing we get asked all the time, blades or no blades?
Yeah.
So obviously this is a traditional bladed. This is the Picasso. This is literally one of my favorite, if not my favorite, umbrella rig is the Picasso brand. I buy them just like you guys do. I don't get any sponsorship. Don't want any sponsorship. Like to be impartial. Now, what I like about this, the head of this thing has a swivel built into it. You do get some crazy, spiraling and gyrations out of this thing when you cast it. And I really like that swivel feature to minimize line twist. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the blades or no blades? Well, here's my take. Here's my take. I would say that most people Dress this up the mic stand. Nice. I would say most people, most of the time, are running blades. Okay? Most of the time. Now, this one here is not rigged with baits, obviously. This just came out of the keeper. And this one here is an old one. This is like one of their first generations. This thing's been reloaded quite a few times. They went to a different wire, what they call a brown wire, which is a better wire. I like to get a little bit of a spread on them like that. Most of the times, we're going to fish no blades. Okay? When we first started fishing these, we fished no blades. And now that most people are fishing blades, if I'm around crowded conditions, I'm going to start with no blades. Now, I will say this. Mike and I have experienced this phenomenon many a time. There are times
They want the blades.
when they want the blades, and your clue is going to be getting a lot and it's either way, if you're throwing blades or if you're not. Your clue is going to be getting a lot of hard strikes and not hooking up. And then what happens is you turn back to your partner and you say, how does a fish hit something with 5 hooks this hard and not get hooked up? We don't know the answer to that, but we do know the solution to that. If it happens consistently, we're going to put blades on. Or if we're throwing blades, vice versa. Now, we're getting some great questions about the size of swim baits. And, we also get questions about which ones do you run on the top? Which ones do you run on the bottom? Well, the laws of physics are going to determine that if you run bigger baits on the outside, the bottom's going to be the bottom, the heavier side. But as far as the size of the baits, just to touch on it just for a minute, if you can see your bait fish, if you're on, let's say, a shad body of water, and you're able to physically see the bait, or if you spend a lot of time on the water and you see, some of the waters that Mike and I fish, there's multiple spawns of shad. We're trying to target fish that are around the bigger shad, which is where we're catching our bigger fish. So, if that shad's like that big, then, it's pretty simple to see why we're doing these baits right here. Now, great question about the size of them is, will you do a bigger one here? Or will you do maybe a couple smaller ones here? Okay. Listen, those are all awesome thoughts. Never, ever fail to experiment with this. And what's easy about this is, these are on snaps. So you can open the snap up and take your whole jig head off. You don't have to take your bait off and tear it all up. Okay? You can just click on another one. Boom, boom. Do 2 of them real quick. I always tell the story. One of the best days I ever had umbrella rig fishing, A-rig fishing, I had 5 different color baits on. I was catching so many fish, my floor of my boat was covered in torn up baits. I just kept picking one up. When they're eating it, they're eating it. But when they're not committed and it's a marginal, you can target a big fish on this. Pay attention to the size of the bait. Don't get crazy. Just use common sense. We run the 3.8s and the little dippers a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
Now, getting some questions on here about tackle. Okay, so we're going to get into that in just a minute. We're going to talk about rod and reel. There is benefits to the correct tackle.
Yeah.
One
other thing with that, George, is another thing that you can do is, if you look at the diameter of these are wires, so you can spread them out, and this is going next level Alabama rig fishing, where I will put them almost straight out like this to get that real wide coming through the water. It's real wide, I'll put them straight out, and that gives me a real wide kind of a ball going through there. And then there's other times where I think the fish are real active and they got the bait all pushed together, and then I'll kind of squeeze them together a little bit more and give it more of a bait ball look. And you can say what you want about that, but there's been days where I was out where I made it real small into a bait ball, and did really, really well with that. There's also different size A rigs out there. There's the this is the regular size, which is your long wires, and then they have like small finesse sizes that even make the ball even smaller yet. So, there's different times that you can throw those. Yeah, there you go. There's a little.
I don't know how good you can see it, but so here would be two opposite ends of the spectrum. Here's a standard size rig, and here's a finesse rig. Okay.
Yeah, you can see a huge difference.
Maybe lower it down a little bit.
You can see a huge difference in diameter there. They're just really, really difference in diameter.
Hold them out a little bit. There we go.
Real big difference in diameter. And it has.
Now there's one in between there too.
It has to do with how aggressive the fish are and if they got the bait pushed together. But it's all part of working through your scenario with A rigs. We try to have the bladed one rigged up, a non-bladed one rigged up, and a finesse one rigged up. So all you have to do is just retie to keep going through your scenarios until you come up with the right.
Well, one thing we learned about this is, if anything matters more than anything else, it can be that spread. This is a standard size. This is a little finesse size. That little finesse size obviously is this is fished a lot around boat docks and shoreline cover as a spinnerbait, if you will.
Yeah.
Think of that as like a spinnerbait. Open water, your junior size rig and your full size rig. And I give the nod to the standard size rig. Probably one of the most popular of all time is the Flash Mob Junior. And it's got a pretty good size spread to it.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to recognize what Mike said. That was really important stuff. Like this is brown wire. This kind of snaps out to where you want it to be, but you can still adjust it. But you can also squeeze that profile down from that, open it up to that, or even more. You could open this up even more. And I would say, as far as like the juice on the A rig, that's probably the most important thing that we can share with you is that spread of that rig.
Yeah.
Whenever you're getting bit on an A rig, they're very hard strikes. Whenever you're missing a lot of fish or more fish than you're hooking, or you're not hooking fish, you're just getting bit. You either need to go blades, no blades, increase the spread, tighten down the spread. Probably the last thing you got to do is change bait color.
Yeah. And a lot of times,
the last
a lot of times we won't change all the baits. We'll just put a different target color in.
And if you stick in that shad zone, you're going to find, Tennessee shads, whites.
Yeah.
I would say some form of white is the most universally effective A-rig color ever, but I've always been more comfortable with some sort of shad pattern, like a Tennessee shad, and then a white in the middle. All white. This used to be white. Another thing about A-rig fishing is the tackle. We're getting some questions on that, and it's kind of important to address. And the first thing that I want to say about it, Mike, and I've noticed this myself. So when the A-rig craze hit, Mike and I were right in line, man. Let's get in line and let's, first of all, we were selling these things like we were, we had the connection for like the most underground thing you can imagine. I mean, we were selling these things like crazy.
Yeah.
We were getting them from every vendor that we had a good relationship with.
However we could get them.
I mean, we were buying them. Every vendor, every little tiny mom and pop shop that we work with, they were churning them out to the wee hours of the morning. And also we were spending as much time on the water as we could to learn them, because obviously we get asked a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And obviously we like to catch a lot of fish.
Yeah. And one of the things we figured out right away is they're freaking heavy.
Well, they're not. I mean, it's not crazy. I mean, it's
a lot.
It's an ounce and an eighth, or whatever, an ounce and a quarter.
But it's a lot of horsepower on there.
What we really learned is you got to get some distance on your cast. You can lob this thing out there on a number of rods. We were using flipping sticks, 7/6 flipping sticks, and we caught a lot of fish doing it. You can lob these things out there on a flipping stick, on a big frog rod, and you're going to catch fish. But if you can add a third more distance to that cast, you're going to catch a lot more fish. So as with everything in fishing, whenever you are always learning and constantly tweaking, we have learned, and what kind of got us into it was our swim bait fishing, that going to a longer rod has tremendous benefits. Mm-hmm. So we are now throwing, for the most part, 7, 11, and 8-foot rods. And we found some that work exceptionally well. They don't have to be really expensive. For example, this is a redo of the Tatula cork, which we've talked about on the show here. This is a 7.9 heavy. Okay, just got done saying 7.11, but this is a 7.9 with a long handle. Okay, this is they call it the A-rig swim bait rod. When you pick this rod up and you flex the tip against the ceiling, you're feeling like it's not like a pool cue. Okay, it's power. There's plenty of power there. You won't question that, but it's got that kind of generic taper, that sort of rounded off fast taper, if you will. That's what you want, but it's got the power. So now look at that handle, that big long handle. That's key. You need a long handle where you can get two hands on there and you can get some distance.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll wear you out all day long throwing that big heavy lure.
Not with the proper rod.
I'm saying it'll wear you out all day throwing that heavy lure. So having that right rod right there is going to really help you with all that it's all day long.
It's immeasurable. Not only from the aspect that Mike just brought up, which is a great concept of how it will tire you out, but the distance. It's so important to get the distance. Okay. So that Tatula, has made the cut, $179.99. One of the rods that I really like, and it's kind of off the radar, is the Spro KGB swim bait rod. I throw a bunch of swim baits on this rod. This is an excellent A-rig chucker.
Yeah, big handle.
Maybe a little too long.
Long? The handle? Yeah, fuzz hair.
But
yeah,
I'll live with it for as good as it loads up and casts the A-rig.
Yeah.
Another one that we found that is primo is a Shimano Zodius.
Yes, absolutely, Bob.
And I don't know if they made this rod for A-rigs.
These rods.
This is a 7.9 extra heavy. I don't know if this was made for an A-rig. This is like that Tatula cork. This baby throws an A-rig real nice. So get in your longer, get longer. 7-11, 8 foot, even a couple of these 7-9s, so that you can get the distance. Okay. Next part of your outfit that's very important and is key to getting distance.
Well, Bob,
a full size spool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a small spool is going to dump out quick.
Mm-hmm.
So a full size spool, because you're putting 20-pound fluoro on here. So don't try to use like a 70 size reel. It's not going to work out real well. Get yourself a good 200 size reel, load it up with 20. Now you got a combo that can handle all your A-rig fishing and your swim bait fishing.
Yeah, Bob, to answer your question, yes, these rods will be great glide bait rods. You can take a glide bait rod and use it as a Alabama rig rod very easily, an 8-footer. If you like throwing glides on 8-foot rods, it's perfect for that. And then the 7-9s, like George said, are fantastic. And they can do glide baits all day long. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Big heavy line, fluorocarbon, 20-pound line for sure.
20 fluoro is like a go-to line for many, many things. And it's perfect for the A-rig.
Yeah. And those heavy hooks will really help you because, one thing I hate to do is I hate netting an Alabama rig. Unless it's a huge fish, then I'll get the net out. Because these freaking hooks, man, they get into everything, and it's a nightmare. So a lot of times I like to swing my fish. I got the heavy rod, I got the heavy line, and I'll get that fish, and then I'll swing them right in the boat, and that way it's not tangling up into everything. And these hooks the heavier hooks will hold up real nice to it.
Yeah, or you can just lip them.
Not all them hooks flying around down there, bro.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Now, one of the heads that I really like, I'm going to talk about some jig heads here, and then I'm going to show you a cool way to store these things. I really like a Strike King or a War Eagle shaky head. I've had tremendous success with that. Obviously, we talked about the Dirty Jigs guppies. We like those a lot. The Tactical Bass guys have a 1/8 ounce size that we love that has the good keeper on it. And I like a screw lock keeper. Dirty Jig makes a jig head with a screw lock keeper on it. And a lot of these baits are put on that screw lock keeper. And I'm telling you, this rig, I rigged this rig up last fall. If you're using the barb style, it pays to glue them. Okay? It pays to glue them. And there's a lot of other tricks on that. I mean, one of the things we'll do is we'll take a silicone stopper and put it over the hook and push it up against the back of the bait. There's tricks like that. Okay, guys, the biggest pain is storage. I mean, you put this thing down in your rod locker and you'll never fish again. You're done. You're going to need side cutters, bolt cutters, plasma cutters.
Yeah.
So what we've kind of morphed into is big lure wraps, extra large size lure wraps. And the beauty of it is, obviously you can use this around your rod, but you just kind of get your rig, compress it. I like to make sure all my baits are in there so they don't get dirty in the boat. Look at that. Nice and polite. If this is tied on your rod, you can go right around your rod and keep this from just ruining your day.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about that, George, what I was doing with it the other day was I was tying it. I left it all in this thing right here, and then I tied it right like this.
Yeah.
And if you want to do an Alabama or a polymer knot, you don't have to try to make a loop that has to go around all these things. You can get a loop that just goes right around there. It's still a big loop, but you just can put it right around there and then cinch it up. I just use an improved clinch knot with 20-pound line. I was using an improved clinch knot, and that worked fine. But a Palomar would be a better knot. But you can tie it with it right on there, and then you put it right around there, and the hooks and everything that doesn't hang up in your loop, and you can cinch that down nice. And then once you get it cinched down, you can take this off, and then you're ready to go fishing. So that's a little tip that I did on Sunday when we busted it out. I was looking at that thing. I'm like, man, I got to tie this thing on. And I just left it right in there and tied right over top all that. And it worked out really, really well.
It's a beast.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
It's a beast. I mean, this thing has a mind of its own. It is out to get you too.
Yeah.
It's out to get you bad. Great question on here about braid. And, we have a pretty good answer for that. So back when the A-rig thing started, Mike and I threw a lot of braid.
Yeah. We throwing it all in braid.
And
we
caught a lot of fish.
Yeah.
And as most Northeast fisheries are, and really most places, they're pressured.
Yeah.
And we found out through our own scientific experimentation, documented, the braid, no good. We felt as though we were constantly out fishing the braid with the fluoro. I mean, we'd switch rods. One guy fluoro, one guy braid, switch the rods. And so we have amended our ways. And I'll tell you, the reason we were using braid is we were using our flipping sticks, and we were using punch rods with 65-pound braid.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's all rigged up, ready to go. So, I mean, it's either change a reel or fish braid. So, because we only had so many flipping sticks. And that's what we did. So, our opinion on that, and it'd be great to hear in the comments your opinion, because our opinion is 20-pound fluoro.
Yeah.
Now, actually, we have a rod rigged up with 25 fluoro because a lot of times we'll throw glides on that. Again, it's already rigged up. So 20, 25 fluoro, we kind of, if we're spooling a reel, it's getting 20. We put 20-pound Sunline, FC Sniper on there. It's not breaking. Now, one last thing on the A-rig rig of the week. The A-rig quite often is catching you the most fish when you're near the bottom, which poses a problem. Snaggage. Now when you snag an A-rig, okay, you have a, $20 rig and a pack of, $7, $8 jig heads, and if you're rigging up with Kitex, another pack of $6 or $7 Kitex. So you want to get yourself, if you're a big time A-rigger, you want to get yourself an A-rig getter backer. And this is the A-rig getter backer. And I'm telling you right now, it's 40. Bring your telescoper back in here, truck driver. It's $44.99. You save 2 rigs, you're in the zone. Telescopes out to like 15 plus feet, and it will get down there, keep tension on your line, and you can force that coil down over top of all that A-rig, give it a good twist and get it all tangled up in there, and bend one of those jig heads and pull it free. Another nice thing I like about the Picassos is if you bugger up the swivel on the bottom of the Picasso, and you're not going to be able to see this, but on the bottom of the Picasso, there's a collar at the loop, and I can slide that collar up with my pliers and opens the loop, and I can drop a whole new swivel on. I'm not saying it's genius, but I am saying it's pretty genius.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, anyways, rig of the week, longhand version.
Yeah.
Really a fun discussion, Mike. I mean, you and I have had some amazingly good times slinging a rig. Smallmouth
Great times.
are insane on a rig.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, the St. Lawrence River, the Susquehanna River, any famous smallmouth body of water, or if you live on a body of water that's known for big smallies in November
They love it.
and December, I mean, it's vicious. It's violent.
Last year I remember watching the fishing shows when we were in here working, and we had the fishing shows on, and you couldn't go a day without seeing Octafo throwing that damn Alabama rig every time he goes out. And it's because all his shows were all
TVA.
Yeah, they were all TVA, and he was catching giant largemouth on them, and he was fishing it in real cold weather, all the way down to that 45 degrees, 44 degree water temperatures, man, just chucking that thing around. That's when it's
prime.
That's when it really catches them. And so we learn, you can learn a lot just from watching those shows, but
if you don't think the A-rig,
they throw it everywhere.
If you don't think the A-rig is
yeah,
incredible, ask yourself why almost every tournament organization's banned it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. So,
yeah.
5 things you got to do in November. One of them is the rig of the week, the A-rig. So, you might not like to throw it, and you might be a fun, I want to have a good time. I don't like throwing it. That's kind of like saying, fishing wasn't any good today. It was such a nice day out. I had such a good time. I got back to nature and communed with my God and had a great time. Yeah, that's true. But you'd have had a better time and done all those things too if you were catching fish.
Yeah.
You can't argue that fact. And you know what?
I'm sorry. I'm out to catch fish.
Get that A-rig out. and if you're anti-A-rig, go ahead. Do it when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
Slide over to the dark side, sling it around a little bit, and thank me later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So rig of the week this week, A-rig. Like, share, comment, tag Nomad Designs. Next week, let me turn the page in the old notebook and see what we got for you. Blank sheet of paper. So next week's rig of the week, well, we just don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun now. So thanks for watching.
Well, George put out there last week that if anybody has a rig that they know about or whatever, or might have been cameraman Nick.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of messages from you guys.
Oh.
With a couple of rigs that we'll queue them up.
Are we going to discuss that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I thought you had 2 or 3 weeks written down there.
I did, but time flies when you're having fun.
I guess we're on the.
I mean, Tackle Shop Live is just more fun than a truckload of Elvises.
It is.
Well, thanks for watching that, guys. That was fun. Now, and remember, that's on our 5 must-do things in November.
Yeah. What's 4?
Well, these are in no particular order, but the last 2 tournaments that Mike and I fished, we have caught all of our best fish on a crankbait. And, we used to always think, Mike, and we always do a cold weather cranking show on here. It's kind of like we got like 25 shows that we always do.
Yeah.
One of them's cold weather cranking.
Yeah.
It's not really cold yet.
No.
But it's getting there.
Yeah.
Our AFCO rep was in today, and for some reason, he lives up on Sodus Bay. I don't know why, but that's where he likes to live. And he said it's cold and it's getting cold.
Yeah.
But he's a cranker. And he also said, I'll be cranking.
He cranks a lot.
Because his temperature's getting right.
Mm-hmm.
And we've learned over the years of doing this show and fishing tournaments, talking with people that, we used to put way too many constraints on what we do based on water temperature. Way too many constraints. And I'll say it. A lot of the like status quo benchmarks that we followed have been less important now that we've entered the forward-facing sonar age. And I'm just sitting here remembering a day not too long ago in the fall, spitting snow, cold, water temperature was 42, big front coming in, big wind, dirty water. Everybody's like, oh, cold, muddy water. Well, let me tell you something. These fish there was a 5-foot ditch that came up on a 1 to 3 foot flat. They like the 1 foot part. Mm-hmm. And they loved a square bill. So therefore, crank is in your top 5 things to do for November. Crank. What are we cranking? Mm-hmm. Well, I know what Mike's cranking. Mike's a flat side son of a gun. And him and Uncle David are on a run right now. He's also partial to his chick magnet. And, his last few fishing trips, he's been throwing that Fritz side. And I got to tell you, that Fritz side, that's something we've discussed at length over the years. That's a genuine article right there. Uncle David has decided and built a new one. Now, I'm trying to get Mike onto a new bait. He's not a real big fan of it right now, but it was Strike King's version of the Fritz side, and it's called the Hardliner. Now, I will tell you, it is more subtle than the Fritz side, and it's more subtle than the chick magnet. So if you struggle cranking with crankbaits that you have a hard time feeling the vibration like a shad wrap, you're going to have to open your mind up a little bit. But those are some of our primo primetime November cranks. And please, by all measures, do not forget the square bills. We're obviously not going to show you some square bills because we all have boxes full of square bills. But your favorite square bill, 1.5. Again, look at your bait. One of the things that Mike and I learned a long time ago is that in the spring and in the fall, particularly on fisheries where the forage base is shad, gizzard shad, there is a time when you will be around big shad and you need to go to a bigger crankbait. That does happen. Big gizzard shads, or if they're plentiful and available, that those fish will they'll get on a size. We see it all the time. They get on a size.
Oh yeah, for sure. So
make sure you have your flat sides, make sure you have your square bills, and make sure you have a couple of 2.5s. And if you're at one of those fisheries that has really big shad, maybe throw a couple 4.0s in. But 1.5s are going to carry you. Flat sides are going to carry you. Your favorite one's going to carry you. Now, I got another crankbait, Mike, that is in the cranks category for November. Mm-hmm. The DT.
Yeah, I didn't know you had to mention that. I mean, everybody knows that the DT is like the greatest.
And it's so good as the water cools down. I mean, it's good all the time, but it's so good as the water. The DT is kind of like a flat side and a round bait got together at a rave and created like a hybrid. And I mean, it's just like
a rave.
Something they used to do in New York City.
I know what a rave is. I just don't know how that turns into a hybrid.
I can tell you, but we're not going to. This is rated PG on this show.
One of the things this time of year that I'm telling you really need to do is make sure you contact the bottom. At some part of your cast, you need to be grinding the bottom with the crankbaits. It's just proven, this time of year when you're grinding the bottom and you're ricocheting off of rocks and you're creating that movement, you're gonna get bit, and it's never so much true than it is, in the fall. You need to be hitting the bottom, you need to be cracking the bottom. So as you move out a little deeper, you need to go to those little deeper lips, and that's why the DT series really jumps in there, and it still gets you to hit the bottom in 10 feet, 12 feet of water. That 8 to 12 feet of water really gets
my depth finder doesn't go that deep.
Yeah, well, but
I have my depth limit set at 10.
Yeah, but but on that break line, that you need to be able to tick the bottom on the way down that break line.
Now, are you keeping the other part a secret? Because when you said you were ticking the bottom, I thought you were going to explain to us what you were doing the last 2 events. Or is that going to be a secret? Because you were ripping grass.
Yeah,
your bottom was soft, and you were getting smoked when you ripped that crankbait out of the eelgrass.
Well, we were catching our fish on the outside edge of
and
the
then
eelgrass.
You would hit, and then you a lot of times you were getting bit on ripping it out of the grass, and then you were also getting bit ripping out of the grass and hitting rock.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you were going to share that ripping out of the grass part.
Well,
because if you're not, that ain't cool.
The thing that happens when the grass starts to die, the bass they start to move out of it, but the bait fish still use it. They use it extensively, all the way down to like 40, the low 40s. I mean, they really use that grass. When it's starting to break up, even that eelgrass will just hold green to it a lot longer. It just holds that green. Even some milfoil will do it, but those bass will pull out of it. They start to pull out of that eelgrass. They relate to it, but they hunt the side of it, is what I feel. So you want to throw up in that eelgrass and start reeling it down and get into the tops of it and rip it out. And a lot of times their fish are right there, they'll grab it. But then as you go along at the side of it, you're grinding the bottom, that gravelly bottom, you're grinding, and then you might even go into another tuft of it and you'll rip it out of there and they'll jump all over it. So you're not in the thick of the grass, you're on the outside edge of the grass, trying to catch the edge of the grass with your bait a little bit and ripping it out of there. And those pods of fish are patrolling the outside edge of that for those shad that are migrating down through or hanging out in that grass, because they use it. I mean, they use it this time of year probably as much as anything. And we key in on the fact that the bait's in the grass. So we want to catch the outside edge. That's very, very, very important.
I'll tell you another thing about that grass. What happens with that grass is in your late grass is your fish will get away from it at night because it is dying and it is a consumer of oxygen. But during the day, when the sun's on it, it will start to liven back up again and produce oxygen. So and plus it's a filtering agent. So there's, a time to punt and a time to be with it.
Yeah, but you look at our main fall spots on some of our main bodies of water, and we're fishing the downstream side of the point, the outside edge of some kind of grass.
Yeah,
and we're not necessarily into grass.
We're looking for it,
and we're looking for that grass.
If we see the grass and everything else, and a push and a current break.
Yeah.
Then we're like, okay. If there's bait here, we're catching fish.
So some of my most famous guiding spots in October, November, and the first part of December have been, grass patches or a grass area, and fishing the edge of it with the crankbait, or whatever, but always related to that grass, because that's where the bait was. Then in the morning, you just saw the bait flicking right above the grass in the real shallow parts of it. They're just in there flicking around, hanging out, flicking in there. And those patrollers, man, they're on the outside edge, just waiting. Just come on out, make your move. And then that's when they're busting on them. And You can catch them on top water first thing in the morning. You can do all kinds of things, but for us, for us in the fall, one of those things that we do is we crank the outside edge of that grass. And it's just so good.
It's great. And as that grass brightens up during the day, the bait fish flock to it. What they're eating's there.
Yeah.
The bass are like even more heightened to it. And that's why we have it down as crank, crank, crank.
Yeah.
So now if you don't have grass on your lake, it's still, you're still cranking.
Rock, rock, rock.
You're just cranking rock and wood.
Yep.
But you got to have bait. Don't stop till you find the bait. And don't stay anywhere where you're not seeing bait. No bait.
Think about what those
fish.
Think about what those fish are doing this time of year. They're feeding up for the winter. They got the feed bag on. They don't care about anything except for the feeding.
They know winter's on the way.
And they have to have bait around.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so that's 2 of our November must-dos. How about this one? Jerkbait. I mean, we talk about jerkbaits all the time, as most of you do, because they've become year-round lures.
Yeah.
Forward Facing did a lot for that. They used to be big time spring, big time fall. Well, this is the biggest time of the year. The colder the water gets, the more the jerkbait excels. But you got to have, much like your crankbait game, you got to have sizes and you got to have the depth ranges. So the jerkbait excels on fish that are not relating to the bottom. The jerkbait excels on shallow water fish that are relating to the bottom because it'll pull them up because it's shallow. But in deeper water, those suspended fish that are hanging around bait, the jerkbait excels at that. There's the Alabama rig, obviously, a Swimbait, obviously, but arguably the jerkbait, because A, it's very erratic. B, you have complete control over it. And C, it suspends. Mm-hmm. But you're going to need to be properly set up, so I got a couple megabasses here to illustrate my point. This is going to be kind of your go-tos, your 110s, but obviously the lip sizes, the standard and the +1, very important. The standard runs about 6 feet. The +1 runs about 8, 9. So if your fish are suspended at like 11, 12, pick up that +1. If it's shallower, go to the regular. I usually have 2 jerkbait rods rigged like that. Okay, let's talk about bait size. Let's talk about really cold water. Downsizing to the junior. So what we're getting at here is sizes and depths are all part of your jerkbait arsenal and very, very important to dial in the bite. The jerkbait, more than anything, can be dialed in. Mm-hmm. Okay? And also, I feel as though the jerkbait, more than anything, is because you're suspending it a lot, the color is important. In clear water, where they can see it. That's why we talk a lot about clear water. We like the translucent colors, the ghosty colors, the stuff that you can see through, right? We like the more opaque colors in cloudy or a cloudy day, cloudy water, the more solid colors. We like the chartreuses, like on the belly, for stubborn smallmouth, particularly. That's a triggering color. So keep that in mind on the jerkbait. The jerkbait is huge right now. Get your jerkbait game on. Get your jerkbaits out. Tie them up. Lay them on the front deck. They have to be ready to go or you're not going to fish them. Put 2 jerkbaits on. Put a standard and put a +1. Pay attention to your depths, the depths the fish are at, the depths the bait's at, and choose wisely. Mm-hmm. A little bit of wind, good thing.
In the final?
Well, we're 2 away from the final.
We are? Wow.
It's the 5 things.
Oh, I thought, okay,
So
yeah.
far, we did 3 things.
Alabama, cranking, and jerking.
Yep.
Yep.
You got anything you want to add to that jerkbait?
Well, I mean, I love talking about jerkbait stuff. I just,
We're not getting into the basics.
I'm not getting into all that right now. I just, just throw the jerkbait.
Anything about November?
Mess with the jerkbait, and as your temperatures start to drop towards the end of November, you might pause a little longer and pause up a little bit and work on your cadence. Very important. And yeah,
pay attention to how you get bit. So the number one thing I've learned about colder water jerkbait fishing, if I get bit on the pause, that's like a big time, like flashing light sign for me. Hey, I got a bit on the, and I mean, so a lot of times it'll feel like a jig bite. I got bit on the pause, was slacking the line. I am going to make sure that I focus on that part of my game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to focus on that. Because that's like the key was just unlocked there. Consequently, if you're getting bit on a faster cadence, or you have to pay attention to that stuff, right?
Yeah. So
that's 3. We got 5 of them for you in November. That's 3. So next we have down the Swimbait is huge. And it is.
Unbelievable.
Whether it's on an A-rig.
Yep.
Or whether it's just on a jig head, a small Swimbait, a bigger Swimbait. A lot of times this time of the year, you're sizing your Swimbait up. So one of the most deadliest things, again, it depends on your bait fish, but one of the most deadliest things you can do on a lot of fisheries, if you have a shad forage base, if you have like bluegill, perch forage base, that kind of bait fish, you're going to find in November sizing up. So like a single boot foot Swimbait would be like a 4.8 on a jig head. And if those fish are deep, you can slow roll that thing or actually make some bottom contact. It is absolutely deadly at getting big bites. So consider that aspect of it. But the other part about this whole Swimbait thing is actually the hard and soft, bigger Swimbaits, like your glide baits. This is a fabulous, if you are into Swimbait fishing, this is a fabulous time of the year.
This is it.
To throw your Swimbaits.
Or if you're not really good at Swimbait fishing and you want to learn Swimbait fishing, or you're just getting into Swimbait fishing, now is the time to build your confidence in it, because you're going to get a lot more bites between now and December than you will any other time of the year. You're going to get a lot of bites. You're going to catch a lot of fish, and you'll be surprised what you catch. I mean, a freaking 12-incher will eat one of them 7-inch glide baits. It's crazy. So it'll build a lot of confidence in your efforts to learn glide bait fishing and swim bait fishing right now, and throw it a lot and build that, get that confidence in your head. So you know what the bite's like, and you've got that confidence to stick with it for a little bit.
Yeah. Not only that, but a lot of times this time of the year, that bait that we talked about, that bigger bait, the mature bait fish, the big gizzard shads. That's why this, a glide bait or a big, like soft, like a mag draft, 6 or 8 inch mag draft. That's why those baits work so well.
Yeah.
In November. And again, look at your fishery. If you're on a body of water that has gizzard shad, you got big gizzard shad. You got big gizzard shad. You remember last week we talked about the big giz from Bill Lewis?
What you got?
A 7-inch, 2-ounce blade bait / lipless hybrid. That was built for this time of the year. November, December, January, depending on where you live, to target bass that are feeding on big gizzards. You'll see it again in the early spring. When you're on a body of water, and if you like to catch big fish, if you answered yes to any of these questions, this is going to be your time to get your glide bait game on, because that's what they're eating. Those big fish are looking for big shad. They're looking for bluegill. They're looking, if it's a bluegill fishery, they're looking for perch if it's a tidal fishery. Or even a lake. A lot of these lakes are stocked with white perch. Those bass hang with them, roam with them, and stalk them. And there's very little that's better than a big 7-inch glide bait. So we have the swim bait being huge.
Yeah, big deal.
Okay. Now we're not going to get into the weeds on how to fish it. Because we've done many swim bait shows, and we'll do another one. But suffice it to say, now's your window. You bought your glide bait rod. Came in here and bought your glide baits. You've been playing with it a little bit. You're thinking, you're like, man. You want to get addicted to it now? Yeah,
absolutely.
Lay it up, put them out in the front deck of your boat, and go throw them.
Troy Lefevre, absolutely. Underspin. This is it. This is an underspin time of the year. You better believe it. Put it on your swim bait, get those extra bites. If you're not getting bit real good, you can put an underspin on and absolutely throw an underspin. You better believe it.
All right. Next up, of the 5 things you need to do in November, we're not just winding. We're also flipping and casting a jig. The jig will always make every list. Every month, every list. This is a month where it shines, and I mean it shines, okay?
Yeah.
So, if you're and I'm gonna get a little specific here. If you're on a largemouth body of water and you're targeting big largemouth, one thing you need to do right now is you need to spend a lot of time with a jig. And, one of the things that I like to recommend is the trailer. So a lot of times we talk about trailers that have a lot of kick to them. A crawl or a structure bug or one of our favorites, the Ultra Vibe Chunk.
Yeah.
This is a time of the year where we like the flop. The flop. This is a flapping hog. This is a super chunk. Okay, where you have profile, you have some flap, but it's not like a big thumpy thumper. This is all about profile. This is a great month. And earlier we talked about if you're on a grass fishery and during the day, you get those nice days where the sun's beating down, that grass is kind of like rejuvenating. Those big fish will go in that shallow grass on the edge, to your point, stalking bait, and this is a great way to catch them because they're not always chasing. And you might go through an area with your crankbait and catch a few, and you might go back through it and catch a few more. But if they're good fish, you better come back through it with a jig.
Yeah.
Now I
for
kinda,
sure.
In my November fishing, Mike, I don't know about you, but in my November fishing, this is more of a largemouth thing for me. Yeah. I don't find myself throwing my jig a whole lot.
I don't do a whole lot of it, but I have guys that do a lot of it, and they use football jigs on flats.
Well, that's different. That's dragging. Yep.
And dragging a jig, but it's it's kind of that's their bottom. In other words, they do all the other stuff, and then they have the football jig for their slow dragging.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
it's usually a small one.
And that's a category all unto itself. But like for example, talking about the smallmouth fishing, we always have a jig rod tied up or two. And big smallies, especially on a river system, love a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll get on a bank that has just primo wood on it with current.
Yeah.
And they'll just get there. So, in your spawn through fall months, you're always having a jig rod laying on the deck.
Yeah, it's always
ready. And every time you get to that piece of wood, you're going to flip it in there. Or sometimes if you're on a river system and the water comes up, they'll get into that water willow, they'll get into that bank grass, They'll use that as a current break. And
Yeah.
man, you flip that jig in there and it's fireworks.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about November.
Yep.
We're talking about largemouth primarily. We're talking about, you know, when you wind all the time, A-rig, crank, jerkbait, swimbait, you can get away from, out of touch.
Yeah.
With slowing down and picking some cover apart. So every now and again, when your wind and bite is in that lull, get on the right stretch of bank or the right stretch of grass or the right stretch of cover. And, you know, they're still eating crawfish. And this also does a good job of representing bait fish as it's falling past their head. And don't put it away. Don't put it away. You know, get yourself a nice jig, decent size. This is a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce. One of my favorites, the greenfish, little rubber jig with a flapping hog or a super chunk type trailer.
Yeah.
And that is your November must do.
Yep.
And if I may, we might have touched on a little bit of a couple items that are coming up in Tackle Talk. I have 4 items to talk about whenever you want to stroll into that venue.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we go with our favorite part of the show, mixing in with our rig of the week part of the show, and that is Tackle Talk. Yeah, I love Tackle Talk, but our show is like a whole thing's just Tackle Talk.
Well, you can't talk bass fishing without talking tackle.
I know. I love it.
You know, I've seen and great comments on here too, guys. I see comments about, you know, big baits. I see comments on here about color. I see comments on here about, you know, line types, and we're answering most of them. We can't answer them all. There's too many of them, but feel free to give us a call here at the shop, or send us an email, and we'll one-on-one get with you on that. But right now we're going to talk. We're going to talk tackle.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk tackle. And we got some fun stuff for you. So first of all, I'm going to come out with the headliner of the show, the showstopper. You know, so what I got here for you is I've got the 5-inch mag draft back in stock. They've actually been here for about a week, but I couldn't get to them last week. I'm sorry about that. But I got the 5-inch mag draft, and you know, I want to tell you the differences in this mag draft. So it's not just a shrunk down version of the 6. Okay. That's not what it is. So let me pop one out of the pack here, and we're going to go over a couple things. So yeah, there's actually a difference in the tail. There's a difference in the amount of vibration that you get, but the real key to the mag draft, if you fish it a lot, and I'm kind of addicted to it, so I do fish it a lot. I fish a mag draft literally a decent amount of every day on the water that I fish. And usually it's a 6-inch. Heck, last week we were trying to cull up. We needed one more, about 3 1/4, 3.5. We were trying to cull up, and I caught a limit that was all under 2.5 on a mag draft. So a 6-inch. Now, I'm going to give you I want to talk to you about this 5-inch. I'm not an expert on it, but I have learned a few things. These have been around for a couple years. They're very, very limited. They're very hard to come by, but now they're around. They're around for now. We got a chunk of them. So first of all, when do you choose the 5-inch? Well, obviously around small bait, but that's not like the main reason. What I've learned with this bait is if I'm throwing the 6-inch, which is my go-to, and I'm missing a lot of fish, And you guys have fished the 6-inch, you know what I'm talking about. You get extremely aggressive strikes. And you got to keep winding. You can't set the hook, because if you set the hook and he doesn't have the bait, he's not coming back. That's over. So, you get this crazy baseball bat strike. You turn the handle again and get hit again. You think he's there. You set the hook. You're missing fish after fish after fish. One thing I've learned, particularly in the early fall, that is a clue to downsize to the 5-inch. And if you tie that 5-inch on and the next strike you get is in the throat, then you know that's the way the day's going to be. So that's the first thing. Now, the big difference here, this looks a lot like the 6-inch. It's a shrunk down version, but this thing is super tight vibration, and you can feel it. I mean, you can feel every beat of that tail. You can feel that body. That body wiggles, and you see how the head wiggles? The key to the mag draft is the head. The head wiggles like that. A lot of these mag draft copies don't do that, but this one does. The 5-inch mag draft and the tail, and you can feel it. It's like a real tight, almost rattle trap like vibration in the palm of your hand, or like a subtle crankbait that you pull to feel if it's there, and you feel that real tight. They have improved the harness, and they have improved the magnet. Okay, so you can see how that magnet just holds that. Now, what I usually like to do is I'll usually tuck a point up in there like that. That's something I do a lot, but you're fine like that. But that magnet is got a groove in it, and that harness is crimped around that magnet. So the magnet's not coming out of the harness like the first generations did. And then you got the swivel harness that made the category. So the 5-inch mag draft, all the colors, man. We got every color they make, and we have large quantities. And if you know Megabass like I know Megabass, they'll be out for a long time. So if you're a 5-inch mag draft guy, get your credit card out, go to sfttackle.com, and get yourself some. Look at that. Kisu IU. That is a killer bait fish color. It's got that tiny chartreuse IU patch. I got a Rico that has that little dot on it. Oh my God. I don't even know what they call that one. Cisco or something like that. Anyways, here's a crazy one for you. This is Ghost Chartreuse back. It's got an orange belly. Look at that. Of course, my favorite, pearl albino pearl. I don't know why, if you care why it's my favorite. That's my favorite. You fish around a perch fishery or a bluegill fishery. We have perch 2. And we have gilco. You get around those bait fish, perch, bluegill, they got those bars on them. Perch 2 and gilco. Of course, the old school mag draft colors or Swimbait colors or trout, stealth rainbow. Depending on the part of the country you're in, a lot of these lakes are stocked with trout. We have a few of them right around here. Those DNRs and fish commissions are feeding the bass. This is one that's overlooked by a lot of people. It's called baby bass. It's a very productive color. Borealis shad. I may have said that wrong. Chartreuse back. You can see why they call it that. Pretty cool, huh? 5-inch mag drafts, all the colors. Pink shiner, all the colors. There's a bunch of colors. That's exciting. That's a big release for us this week. We're really happy to bring that to you. 3/4 of an ounce. Obviously, 5 inches. 3/4 of an ounce, 5 inches. Rod and reel. So like 15-pound fluoro on a medium heavy is perfect. And yeah, this is a primo bait that gets bit a lot. And I'll tell you, they're just good baits. They're just good baits. $14.99 a pop. All right. A little bit of top water time left this year. We have the Clickin' Chicken. Check this bad boy out. Chrome. Strike King decided to get into the game. So there's a magnetic chamber in here with a bead that goes this way. And this activates it as it spins by and knocks that bead back and forth. So you get that. It's hard to do it without that. That nice knocking sound. Metal tail. You can adjust it like a buzzbait blade. I think the profile is freaking awesome. Clickin' Chicken for your plopper collection. Tons of colors. Of course, we love that color. Showed you the chrome. Got a one they call shad spawn for those finicky biters, see-through. Of course, we showed you the bone. Look at this. Kind of a ghost. Clear water minnow. Clickin' Chicken. So your Clickin' Chicken tail of tape, 3 inches, 3/4 of an ounce. So you're going to get some great distance on your casts. You're going to be able to fish this on heavier gear. You know, again, 40, 50 braid, 15 mono if you're a mono guy. I fish it a lot on fluorocarbon because it's not, I'm winding it. It's not like a pop R. I'll fish it right on the same rod that I fish like my 5-inch mag draft on, or my chatterbait or my spinnerbait. $17.99. You got the magnetic click. You got the adjustable tail. Going to be a definite player in the plopper market. Okay. Now here's a cool one for you. $5.99. So we're not talking about a high dollar item here. And I have so much stuff on this table. So this is from Cuda brand. Cuda brand tools. And this is their Nico wacky plier. They call it a wacky plier. First thing I noticed about this before I noticed anything, if you drop it in the water, it floats. Kind of a smart idea. And then we have these notches on the top, which are going to help to kind of hold that O-ring in place. And they're sort of holding it in place so you can, like, if you have a medium-sized worm, you can take it back to that second notch, right? If you have a smaller worm, you're on that first notch. You can go back to that back notch for like a bigger, like Senko. And yeah, you just get your worm or your Senko. I'm going to hook up this 7-inch robo worm. Open up your plier. Bring your robo worm through to wherever you want your O-ring. I'm going to Nico rig it. I want it right there. And just Slide her off on there like that. And you can make some last-minute adjustments. Bingo, bango, real quick. Grab your hook. And there you go. All rigged up. Kudos to Cuda. Okay, last up. New reel from Lose. All you Lose fans. Check this out. Let me get on the right page here. $109.99. This is based on the reel we broke down a few weeks ago, which was the Speed Spool RX with the new Paramag RX braking system. So we have the same features as the Speed Spool RX. We have the Paramag RX braking system. So we have our inductor cup. We do not have any magnets facing the spool. The magnets face this way, and they're only affected when it's in there. So it's not like, it's a little more, what's the word? It's a little more range. There's more finite changes on that style, is what we learned with the Paramag, which is actually a movable cup, but it's the same concept. So you got, I mean, literally you've got like $109.95, right? You have, now it's limited. It doesn't have like every, configuration of gear ratio. So it's limited to the 7.5, 30 inches of line per crank. The spool's a little bit smaller than the RX, just a little bit. It's got, it's 110 yards of 12, whereas the Speed Spool RX is 120 yards. So it's a little bit smaller, 6.8 ounces, 15 pounds of drag. Okay, so you're wondering, why is it so much $70 less? It's $70 less than the Speed Spool RX. It's $70 less than the KVD Elite RX, which are in this class. It's a graphite frame. So you're not getting an aluminum frame, but it's a $70 difference. So that's your big handle. Look at that big handle. 95 millimeter aluminum handle. Super smooth. Nice reel. A very nice reel. It's got a nice pinion gear in it, a nice set of gears. If you're looking for a mid-priced reel that's going to treat you well and cast well, this thing casts really well. Check them out. It's the Excel RX. There is an Excel also. Don't get it mixed up with that one. That doesn't have the RX. Yeah. So that was your tackle talk for the week. Kept it a little shorter. Getting some great comments on here. Jig in the fall is a must. The harness rips out easy. Probably talking about the mag draft. It may have in the old days, but for the last couple of years since they redesigned that harness, the durability has been phenomenal.
That's the important thing. It is a redesigned harness. And,
yeah, I mean it's real. The last 2 years,
it's totally different than that.
Last 2 or 3 years they've been doing that harness. It really does well.
Holding up really well.
Can't say enough good about that.
The funny thing about that 5-inch, I was throwing it on Sunday. It's got this like double kick. They got the vibration out of the front of the head, and you got this tail wag. And I'm telling you, that thing looks so good coming through the water. To me, the 5-inch mag draft is nothing different than throwing a spinnerbait, a chatterbait, anything, a jerkbait, anything you would regularly throw. It's that type of representation. It's not a big 6-inch. It's not a great big profile. It's that profile that is small enough that you can just kind of chuck it around like you would a spinnerbait, like you would a chatterbait, like you would anything. But I'm telling you, that thing really impressed me with the action of that bait, and it's just going to be in my rotation for the rest of the year. No problem about it. Tied on, lock it in, and rip the knob off type of thing. So,
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Hi, Tom Heckman. How you doing? Good to see you, brother.
Hey, we got a little derby going on.
Yeah.
And it pays $200,000 for first place. I don't know if you're following it. It's a Toyota Series Championship. So there's a couple different ways to qualify for it. You can qualify for it through the Toyota Series.
Mm-hmm.
You can qualify through the BFLs. You can qualify for it through the Federation Nation. And there's multi-nations involved. There's the Spain, there's Mexico, there's Italy. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And, it's interesting because, it's on Grand Lake in Oklahoma, which, is a tremendous fishery. But, it's that funky time of the year there.
Mm-hmm.
It's their weather's very similar to ours, but they're just a little bit behind us.
Well, it's a lake too. It's a big lake.
And fall's a little late this year too.
And fall's a little late, but those big lakes, it's like even some lakes around here. Some of those don't even kick in until late November with that really good quality fall bite.
And that's
they get funky this time.
I mean, there's obviously something going on, but it's obviously
It's in that they're in a
you
funk,
can tell it's that kind of between time that we just kind of are getting through ourselves right now.
Yeah.
And this is a who's who. I just picked out a few of the guys that I follow. The guy that won the Bass Opens on the Chesapeake, Dylan Falladu.
Oh yeah.
Who is also a BFL All-American winner.
Yeah.
In the past, and is trying to qualify for the elites through the EQs. He's up there. Kyle Cortiana, who's just an amazing fisherman.
Yeah.
Tucker Smith.
Yeah. Tucker.
Hello. Tucker put himself in real good position, and 200,000 is a little bit below the level he generally fishes for.
Right.
But I'm sure he wouldn't mind taking home some coffee money.
Yeah.
And Lee Livesey, who's having one hell of a year.
Yeah.
Lee Livesey's having one hell of a year. And we got some local people fishing it. Paul Batters is kicking in JT Lang.
Yeah.
And I didn't see his name on the
Cade Westner's there.
As a co-angler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see his name on the list. But then again, they're scoring on their leaderboard.
Yeah, it was real lagged.
Oh.
Terrible.
Oh. Terrible.
The fellow from Reading, Esterly.
Yeah.
He's there.
He's there.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Yep. So we have some local.
Yeah, we have all kinds of local people there.
Local talent out there.
But it's fun to watch. 200,000 is no joke.
Yeah.
And again, these are all like they make us better fishermen. Even if you're not there and you're not dealing with the adjustments, we're learning from them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just another little touch of knowledge in your hat. So yeah, pay attention to it. If you have somebody you can root for, I would root for JT Lang.
Absolutely.
If I was around this part of the world.
Absolutely.
Fished many a tournament against him. And a good stick.
Excellent stick.
Tomorrow they cut to 25. So 26 through 49 will get a paycheck. And then on Championship Saturday, 1 through 25 will jockey for that $200,000 paycheck. And that's going to be great. Their weigh-in announcer is doing a hell of a job. I really like his enthusiasm. But their leaderboard,
terrible.
I mean, if you want to get if you didn't see your guy weigh in, you might have to wait a little while.
Yeah.
Because I saw a couple people that I follow weigh in, and they were listed as 15 minutes later, they were listed as having 0.
Yeah.
I watched them weigh in.
Yeah. They could have been having some problems, but hopefully they'll fix it up for tomorrow and have a better.
Well, we're going to be watching. And speaking
deal.
of tournaments, make a note on your device, your calendar.
What's coming up? What do you got?
Oh,
You got something coming up?
I got the 2026 SFT SummerSlam.
Oh.
And it's never too early.
Yeah, put it on your calendar.
To plan May the 17th on one of the best big fish fisheries in the Northeast / Mid-Atlantic.
Wow.
That's not me saying it. That's Bassmaster saying it. That's FLW saying it. That's a lot of people saying it. And me.
Yeah, so
and
what?
Mike.
So what? Pencil it in on your calendar, get it all written in?
I wouldn't use a pencil. That could get smudged. I would use a Sharpie, wide tip, and I would just write 5/17 SummerSlam on one half of the calendar.
Well, you got to get it on there so that your wife doesn't plan anything for you, or you plan it bring your wife along. So, but yeah, you guys need to get there for that. May the 17th. That sounds like a good day. It really does.
I checked the weather for May the 17th. It looks pretty good.
Hopefully no wind.
65-degree water temperature.
Yeah.
Gargantual 28-pound stacks being drug up to the scales.
Absolutely.
And a good time being had by all.
Absolutely.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
Sports fans.
Man, I tell you, it was a great show tonight. Thanks everybody for stopping in and checking us out, talking with us.
Yeah,
we look
forward to this every week, and we really appreciate you taking that time out of your schedule.
Yeah,
we really appreciate you.
What else are you going to do on a Thursday night? Honestly,
well, I know what I'm going to do as soon as we're done here.
Going to watch football?
Whoo, dog!
I knew that was coming.
I mean, I've actually been watching football throughout the game, but
thank you guys so much.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate everything. And we'll catch you guys all on the next Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up, you told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me